Hi everyone, here is group 12. We have Harrison, Elias in our group, and I'm Yifan. Today we want to talk about the AI bias in non-binary pronouns. Have you ever feel confused about what pronouns to use when you first found one of your friends is LGBTQ? Do you use like he or she or they? Maybe you may know it later that you should use they in daily life. But can AI recognize they as a singular pronouns when doing the natural language processing? Pronouns have become one of the issues within the LGBT community as people explore their gender identities. While the English language is no stranger to using like they or them as a singular pronouns, the general population has struggled, if not resisted, to the movement of using the pronouns for the non-binary and gender-fluent people. We examined a state-of-the-art natural language processing tool to see if the biases against gender-neutral people exist.
More specifically, the model that we're looking at here is a co-reference resolution model. And so this is the current state of the art for this task. And what the task is if you have a sentence like this, the doctor asked her patient to leave, you have a pronoun like her, which has an antecedent, which is in this case, the doctor. And the task is just to take all of the pronouns in the text and determine what the correct antecedents are. And so this has been a topic of research for bias, mostly in terms of gender bias, right? Because we might have a gender bias against doctors being female based on some text that we're training on. And in general, all of these systems are supervised systems, which means that they're trained on annotated text corpora, and so they're susceptible to biases like that. And so to talk more about the examples that we have in our actual data set, we'll look at this slide here, where we basically take this distractor target paradigm, which is really common for psychology and psycholinguistic studies, where we have two possible antecedents here, right? So for example, in this sentence where we're using the singular they and them, we have the teacher and the students as possible antecedents, and only one of them is correct, and that would be the teacher, because we know from context in this sentence that teachers grade students, and so it must be the teacher who's the antecedent of they, versus this sentence where we're using they in the sort of traditional plural sense. The teacher informed the students that they will be quizzed weekly. We know that students are quizzed by teachers, and thus this is the correct antecedent. Looking at the next slide, we also have controls. So a common bias in these systems, these co-reference resolution systems, is to just take the nearest noun that comes before the pronoun. So for example, here, the civilians comes right before they, and so maybe it'll just automatically choose that and accidentally be right, essentially. So we vary that, having 50% of the sentences look like this, where there's the distractor comes first, versus the close scenario where the target comes first. And we also experiment with swapping the roles. So here we have the chef telling the waiters to do something. Here we have the waiter telling the chefs. Both times they refers to the first noun.
So we ran 40 sentences through the model, and this is the result we had. As you can see, for a condition where it's the target is the plural noun, it had 100% precision and recall. And but in comparison, if the they and them were used for a singular purpose, it had a very bad result with less than 25% accuracy or recall. And it's definitely not, the model is definitely strong for the close and far, as in this case, it performed worse on a closer antecedent. And so the bias is definitely towards using the towards the plural case in terms of they and them. And in conclusion, we've definitely spotted that the non-binary usage of singular they them is not really included within this model. I think for the future work, you would have to incorporate more of the train on more sentences that uses singular they and them. And it also helps to, I think in terms of future, you could also use it on the neo pronouns to see that the pronouns are not just bounded by specific word or context. Thank you.
All right, thank you for listening.